Morning, everybody. Welcome on a Tullymore Thursday. Glad you're with us on X's and Bros. And the anticipation continues to build for tomorrow night at the Breslin Center in East Lansing. Can't wait for that. Pistons, in the meantime, will continue their three-game Western trip in Phoenix tonight. Detroit, remember, beat Denver Tuesday night by 2 to reach 12-5 against the West. They've won 9 of their last 11 games overall. They are the favorite by most betting sites now to win the Eastern Conference. Suns sit 6th in the conference, won the first meeting, remember, by 3 over Detroit at Little Caesars Arena earlier this month. As I mentioned, just 1 day left before the game in East Lansing at the Breslin Center. Both teams, Michigan and Michigan State, are 9-1 in conference play. U of M 21 on the year, ranked 3rd in the country. State 19-2 on the season, rated 7th in the nation. This is the highest the two teams have ever been when they meet one another in the history of the series. A 3 and a 7 ranking. Remember this, though. The Spartans have won 7 of the last 10. They won both meetings last year, and they dominated those meetings. 17-point difference in one game, 13-point difference in the other game. Both teams playing solid ball. Both teams have proven they can come back. Both teams prove that they have very good defenses and can hurt you in a lot of different ways offensively. We want you to go to the Breslin Center, but you've got to do this quickly. In order for you to register, you must text Soaring Eagle to 21,000. You do that, you've registered. Bill Simonson going to pull the winner today at Soaring Eagle. And what's going to happen is Metro cars will pick you up from your residence and take you back to your residence after the game. You and a friend are going to go to the game and enjoy it. And we would encourage you also before the game to go to what we would consider the pregame hype bash at Lansing Beer Company, where they're having just $10 cases on sale for you. Bill Simonson will be there at Lansing Brewing Company tomorrow afternoon doing his show before he heads to Breslin to watch the clash of two top 10 teams. It's going to be great. All you got to do is text 21,000. You got to text Soaring Eagle to that number. Okay? It's as simple as that. Red Wings are going to seek a bounce-back effort tonight. They host Washington. Detroit seats a point back of Tampa now in the Atlantic Division. Capitals have dropped 2 in a row. They're tied for 4th in the Metro. By the way, the Wings have also signed Ben Sherratt to a 3-year contract extension. So the 34-year-old is going to make a little bit more than $11.5 million to keep him here through 2029. It's actually, I think, a really good move on Steve Yzerman's part. Sherratt, we always bring up age when it comes to players. I just did it. And I think it's just to give you a little bit of information, but keep this in mind. He's going to make less money next year, $3.85 million AAV, compared to this year, $4.75 AAV. So there's a difference. Doesn't hurt you financially a ton. He's a very productive player. He's getting paid for the same. He's a second line defensive player. And that's about right. That's the way it goes. Okay. The NHL salary cap is going to be about $104, $105 million next season. Detroit has $66 million committed. So they've got a ton of wiggle room right now. All right. This guy's been very dependable. All right. He's been logging a lot of time for this team. He's really good in the corners, sweeping along the end boards. He's an offensive threat. The other night, if you watched, despite the 3-1 loss to L.A., number of times he took it at the point, snuck down the left side wall, came around, fed somebody in the slot, didn't get a goal, but was able to retreat quickly. So he's done a good job. If you think, not that they're the same player by any stretch, not that they're equivalent, because Ben Sherratt defensively is not Patrick Kane offensively by any stretch, all right? But Patrick Kane's 37 and still can play. Now, he's very good offensively. I don't think he is really good at all defensively. But Ben Sherratt at 34, you'll keep him here till he's 37. That is not a reach. It is not a risky move. James Van Riemsdyk, he's 36. He's productive. The age aspect, unless you're getting into the 40s with hockey players, I don't think is that big of a deal. And so I like this signing because it keeps you stabilized on the second line defense. Your top pair defensemen of Mo Sider and Simon Edmondson are going to be with you for a long time. Both those guys are outstanding, long reaches, good feet, use the body well, log a ton of ice time. Ben Sherratt as your number 3. He needs a second helper. Let's see if they can do that at the trade deadline. Cleveland Browns have hired former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken to be their head coach. The last 2 seasons, Cleveland was 8 up and 26 down, and their offense ranked dead last. Monken, in 2024, not this year, but in 2024, had one of the best offenses in all of football. It helps to have Lamar Jackson. It helps to have Derrick Henry. Here's the fine line. Okay. And he was the Browns offensive coordinator in 2019. So that's why they bring him back. Here's the fine line, though. How much of that is Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and the rest of their offensive players? And how much was Todd Monken? I don't know the answer to that. I don't think anybody does unless you're in the room with Baltimore. Some people want to take that away from Todd Monken. Well, look at who you had. All right. There's plenty of offensive coordinators, hi John Morton, who can't do or put together big numbers for their offense with a lot of talent. So accentuating your talent, all right? If you're going to blame him for this year and the struggles that Baltimore had and people in Baltimore did, then the year before, doesn't it make sense that you'd have to give him at least some credit for what they were able to do so successfully on the offensive side of the ball? Jim Schwartz was the defensive coordinator in Cleveland. He applied and interviewed for the head coaching gig. He didn't get it. Reports are that he stormed out of the Cleveland facility, was visibly upset, said his goodbyes, and said he would not return. You can do that when you're one of the best at what you do as a coordinator. And Jim Schwartz as a coordinator is one of the best in all of football. He'll get another job as a defensive coordinator. There are still openings in the National Football League. Raiders still don't have a coach. Not that that's necessarily where you want to go. He'll get another job, if not this year, the following year, because he's brilliant defensively. I don't know how long it takes. This is an interesting, I think a little bit of an interesting question for people to ponder. Would you want Jim Schwartz as your offense or defensive coordinator? Absolutely. I don't know how you can deny that when there's a dude that was, I mean, when you're respected as much as you are by Myles Garrett, who tweeted things out that were very complimentary of Jim Schwartz and how he helped him and big reason he was so successful. When do you take another chance on a guy for being a head coach? So that's the question I would have. When do you take a chance on a guy who says, all right, I've really excelled in the realm of defensive coordinator, right? But as a head coach, he sure as hell wasn't very good. How much has he learned? When is it you're willing to say, yes, I'll give him another chance because I think he's that much better now? Maybe somebody will do that with Jim Schwartz because he has proven time and time again, whether it be at Tennessee, whether it be at Philadelphia, he was in Buffalo for a year, or in Cleveland, how good his defenses have been. Look at his page. And what is most important? Points? Okay. In Tennessee, in his last 2 years, his team's defense was 8th and 2nd in defense. Detroit, it was awful. In Buffalo, they were 4th. In Philadelphia, they were 12th, 4th, 12th, 15th. In Cleveland, they were 5th. He gets results, all right? Now, as a head coach, when you're 29 and 51, when you have a winning percentage of 36%, and you go 11 and 21 in your last 2 years, that is tough to swallow. But he hasn't been a head coach since 2013. We all learn. I wouldn't hire him, but we all learn, and I would guess at some point he deserves an opportunity. I don't know if people remember this, but Bill Belichick failed in Cleveland, and now he's become one of the best coaches of all time, unless you're voting for him in the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Here's our Mitch Lanswell poll question. Who's been MSU's best player? Has it been Jeremy Fears, Jackson Kohler, Cohen Carr, or other? Vote as often as you want. We'll give the results when we come back on Friday in the 8 o'clock hour on X's and Bros. This hour brought to you by Mitch Lyons and MitchLyonsWealth.com.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Step into luxury this January with a $275,000 Escalade giveaway at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Every Friday and Saturday from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., 2 lucky guests will win $250 in premium play and 250 bonus entries every hour. And don't miss the grand finale on January 30th and 31st at 11 p.m. One lucky winner each night will drive away in a 2026 Cadillac Escalade. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
You are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network, but you don't need to be in Michigan to tune us in. Search XB Mornings on X or X's and Bros on YouTube.
we always look forward to that. I mean, our fans you feel like you got an advantage when you play at home. And not everybody can say that. We can, because we do. We are, the way our fans and our stadium are set up, it's a special environment.
It's Dan Campbell earlier this year talking about the home field advantage that the Lions have. Here's the irony in that. Welcome back. X's and Bros, Monday through Friday from 6 until 9 throughout the great state of Michigan. And, of course, streaming live on X, on YouTube, and on Facebook as well. The regular season home attendance, who do you think led the way? And where do you think the Lions ranked? From Fox Sports, no team drew more home fans than the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas was number 1. Denver was number 2. So Dallas didn't make the playoffs. They were number 1. Denver did make the playoffs and won the AFC West. It was the number 1 seed until knocked out by New England. They're number 2. Number 3 was the Kansas City Chiefs. Didn't make the playoffs. Number 4 was the New York Jets. They didn't make the playoffs. And number 5 was the New York Giants. They did not make the playoffs. How crazy is that? Detroit, out of the 30 teams, or 32 teams, excuse me, out of the 32 teams, Detroit ranked 27th, according to Fox Sports. Detroit drew 516,719 people to their 8 home games. Now, before you go, wow, that's surprising, we need to keep in mind a couple of things. First of all, they played 8 home games. Some teams played 9.
There you go. And this is strictly based on volume. I mean, they're just giving you totals.
Right.
So, I mean, had the Lions played a 9th game.
Yeah, that's not even the reason, though, I don't think, anyway. If Detroit played another home game and they drew to capacity, they would be, just under middle of the pack.
Yeah, but they'd be higher than 27. 27 sounds bad. Like, that sounds like it's towards the bottom.
It is bad.
Yeah.
But it's not because they only had 8 home games. It's because they have one of the smallest stadiums in football.
Third to last, I think. Third to smallest.
They draw 60. They have a capacity of 65,000. The only teams with smaller buildings are the Chicago Bears that are getting a new building. They have this availability for the fewest amount of fans, and Arizona. Okay. And then Detroit is tied with Las Vegas, which Las Vegas ranked 22nd. But again, 8 to 9 games, a lot of things difference. The teams that have the most capacity, and it's really not even close. When you look at Detroit, 65,000, and I'm not saying it's the wrong number. The Silverdome held 80, I believe. 75 to 80, you could squeeze 80 in there. When I used to go and see how packed it was, especially like on a Monday night against the Oakland Raiders at one point where I could see more fights sometimes than plays in general.
80,311 is what the internet says, Shep. So you're spot on.
Yeah, 80 grand. The New York Giants, where they play with the Jets, 82,500. That is the number 1 capacity stadium in the National Football League. Number 2, surprisingly to me, is Lambeau Field at 81,441. Maybe it shouldn't surprise me since you have to get on a waiting list to get season tickets. Number 3 is the Dallas building, which is our AT&T Stadium, 80,000. Kansas City is number 4, and Denver is number 5. So when you look at the capacities, that makes a ton of sense. I just gave you the Giants and Jets at 1, Green Bay at 2, Dallas at 3, Kansas City 4, Denver at 5. When I gave you the teams that had the most fans, those teams that are ranked in the top 5 in capacity are all, except for Green Bay, top 5 in average fans or total number of fans this year. Remember this. Detroit still played at 99.5% capacity. So it's not like it's a bad fan base by any stretch. So that's number 1. If you recall, in 2023, they broke the decibel rating for loudness at 127.5. Then the following year, they broke it again. Okay? They averaged 64,000 850 fans 2 years ago, not including this year. I'm talking about 2024. All right. That was the best in the 22-year history of Ford Field. In the playoffs against the Rams, if you recall, they broke that decibel mark again with 133.5. And then when they had another playoff game against Tampa, they broke that mark again at 134.3. There was also what should be taken into account, and I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but I think what should be taken into account is all the things that have been said by opposing teams when they first, come into Ford Field, and to scream about the Lions fan base and the loyalty and how good it is. Look at how they travel. When they went to New Orleans a couple of years ago, New Orleans Saints general manager Mickey Loomis said, we're used to having a large number of Saints fans at some of our away games, but we're not used to having the volume of visiting fans at our games. I was a little caught off guard by the volume in the lower bowl. That was unusual. And look, I understand it, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. The way fans have gone on the road, whether it be Green Bay, and I was at Green Bay earlier this year for the season opener, Lions fans were well represented. We all left with our tail between our legs, but we were well represented. They've been well represented everywhere they have gone. This is not a reflection. This is not an indictment by any stretch on Lions fans' loyalty or Lions fans' passion. It has everything to do with two things, but it's primarily because of the size of Detroit's building. When your building holds 65,000, and I'm not saying you need to expand. I'm not saying ask for taxpayer money and let's build it bigger, better, and brighter. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm just telling you, when you get 65,000, you're going to be at the bottom end of attendance figures on a regular basis. And it's something that needs to be remembered moving forward. All right. Via the text 21,000, sports radio to 21,000. Feel free. You can call us on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. 7:35 this morning. We will continue to pump you up for the Michigan State showdown. Sadi Washington, good friend of ours, outstanding assistant coach at Michigan State University. He will join us to give us his perspective on the rivalry.
Who better to do it, by the way?
Why Michigan State has been so dominant as of late, winning 7 of the last 10, and what he likes about the way Michigan State is playing right now. Nice comeback win at Rutgers in overtime. Okay, well, you didn't necessarily do it the way many people wanted. We want style points sometimes. The diehards will tell you, I don't care how you win, just win. That's me. Those people who are looking for a reason to try and knock a team will say, yeah, but they weren't that good of a team that you were playing, and by golly, you should have blown them out of the building. Those are the unrealistic people. Those are the people that don't want the opposition to score a basket and think that you should make every shot you take. You have to be realistic, please. Anyway, they are playing really good ball. You don't get to 19-2 by being a bad basketball team. You don't get to 19-1 in a really hard conference by being a bad basketball team. So we're going to talk to him about how good Michigan State has been as of late, what has been the key, and what will be the key tomorrow night at the Breslin Center against one of the best teams they face on their schedule. So I'm really looking forward to that. But when we come back, I do want to talk a little bit. I don't want to get back into the Bill Belichick snub thing. All right. We talked about this yesterday. Tom Brady has come out. He was beside himself. Okay, I get it. What else is he supposed to say, right? We've had all these people chime in now, over 20 people saying, I voted for him. Of the 50 voters, about 20 of them, close to half, have said, I voted for him. I wonder if the people who didn't vote for him are willing to stand their ground. I've seen one person say it. Anyway, that is getting a lot of attention. Here's my question. There's another player. Well, there is a player because Bill Belichick wasn't going in as a player. There's a player who didn't get in either, but he has a unique resume. And I wonder how people feel about it. We'll get to your thoughts on that here on a Tullymore Thursday on this edition of X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lyons and Mitch Lyons Wealth.
At Soaring Eagle, make it a hot Valentine's night. Five-time Grammy nominee El DeBarge and Keith Washington put love in the air. Tickets as low as $50 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com. This Valentine's night, make it hot. El DeBarge and Keith Washington at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Football season's not over yet. You know that, right? There's still one massive game to go. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, recognizes that more than anybody else. They know you are into it. They know your passion. They want you to make every moment feel bigger. And with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay in that moment. You can live that moment bigger. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half of the Super Bowl, you're going to get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire first half of the Super Bowl. Why would you bet player props anywhere else? New customers, here's your perfect chance in the big game. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE. That code is HUGE, H-U-G-E, and turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire within 7 days. For additional terms and conditions, go to dkng.com/audio for a limited time offer.
I think this tarnishes everything in the Hall of Fame. All of the inductees, everybody in the Hall of Fame, just because of 10 or 11 or 12 ignorant, jealous who did not vote for him. I think it tarnishes everything about the Hall of Fame.
That's a pretty strong word right there. Words from Jimmy Johnson, without question. Welcome back, X's and Bros. Monday through Friday, 6 until 10. I had my say about this yesterday, and I'll stand by it. I thought it was ridiculous. I think it's a joke. I am not a fan of Bill Belichick. I don't like the way he handled himself in a lot of different situations. Him being 74 and dating a 24-year-old makes no difference to me whatsoever. I think it's kind of gross from both ends. Although if you're a 74-year-old guy and you're single, anybody who says they wouldn't at least want to date a 24-year-old is probably lying, especially an attractive 24-year-old. But I do think he's tarnished his image a little bit by allowing her on the sidelines. But that's a completely separate situation. His lack of success at Chapel Hill this past college football season has nothing to do with what he accomplished in his National Football League career. He belongs in the Hall of Fame, and he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know if he'll be so upset with it like like Terrell Owens, who they waited for 3 years to do that, and he chose not even to show up. So, that was his choice. So I don't know how Bill Belichick, I heard some quotes about how he responded and how he was disappointed and surprised, but I think most people agree he's a Hall of Famer and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And it does make the Hall of Fame. It does lose some credibility. When you have the winningest Super Bowl coach in the history of the sport, the second winningest coach of all time if you combine regular season and postseason, third winningest coach in regular season in history, more conference championships, more conference championship appearances than anybody else in the sport, and it's not going to be broken, one wouldn't assume. And then I think it's fair to assume no one's going to break some of his records. You don't vote him in on the first ballot. It looks bad. It makes you look petty. It makes you look bad. Okay? That said, Eli Manning. There's the debate. There was no debate with Bill Belichick. On some players, there is a big debate. And Eli Manning is one of those players. Is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? So this was his second year of eligibility, and he was passed over again. So he'll have more opportunities. And my guess is he will be one of those guys who will make it. What's the knock on Eli Manning, who is, by the way, a two-time Super Bowl champion and a two-time Super Bowl MVP, okay? Here's the knock. He was never an All-Pro. And he was considered one of those guys who was just probably very good. It does help that he has two of the most iconic wins in the history of the Super Bowl, beating the New England Patriots both times, beating the greatest player of all time, arguably, in, of course, Tom Brady. So I wonder how people feel about that. That he's, okay, so he's not in the class of 2026, but he is one of those guys who've done something not many have ever done. And that is win multiple Super Bowl MVPs. There are 6 players in the history of this sport that have won multiple Super Bowl MVPs. Joe Montana, Hall of Fame. Terry Bradshaw, Hall of Fame. Bart Starr, Hall of Fame. Tom Brady will be a Hall of Famer. And Patrick Mahomes certainly will be a Hall of Famer. He is also one of just 2 eligible quarterbacks with multiple Super Bowl wins that are not in the Hall of Fame. Who is the other? Jim Plunkett. Now, winning 2 Super Bowls probably doesn't get you automatically in the Hall of Fame. Winning 2 MVPs in those Super Bowls does help your cause quite a bit. And before people start to tell me about Eli Manning and his overall record, like the All-Pros doesn't help him, obviously. He was going up against some really good quarterbacks during that time. Nobody's saying he's the best quarterback of his era, and nobody's saying he's the best quarterback during even his peak years, okay? Because he's going up against his brother. He's going up against Brady. He's going up against some of the best quarterbacks of all time. You know that. He's 117 up in his overall wins. And this is, again, goes back to quarterback position. We associate them with wins. And before people start to say, yeah, but that catch by David Tyree on the helmet, was that really Eli Manning in an epic game and an epic throw? Well, somebody had to throw the ball in a place where the guy could actually make that miraculous catch. And what about the throw he had to Mario Manningham at a different Super Bowl down the left sideline? Truly one of the greatest throws you will ever see. Simply amazing. Could not have drawn it in. If you stopped the film, you could not have drawn it any better than where that dude placed it. It's a great catch, staying in bounds, but it was an unbelievable throw. If that's a throw made today by Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow, it's on a constant loop on social media. Anyway, 117 and 117. That's a problem people have with it. Shep, he's lost as many games as he won. Fair enough. How about Joe Namath? Because Joe Namath was under 500 in his career. And before you get to the, well, how many touchdown passes compared to interceptions for Eli Manning? And maybe this isn't fair. Maybe I'm using the Joe Namath example, who, by the way, I have come out and said, he is the most overrated player, I think, in football history. And Eli Manning didn't, I know he wasn't a Pro Bowler, or I wasn't an All-Pro, but he was a Pro Bowler, a 4-time Pro Bowler. Before you get into the touchdown to interception ratio, in which Eli Manning has 366 touchdowns and 244 picks. He was also very steady. He also, was a guy who started pretty much every single game that he played in. Why is that? Well, he was durable. But anyway, Joe Namath, a game under 500 in his career. A guy who threw 173 career touchdown passes, but also threw 220 interceptions. So if and I don't know if that's necessarily the standard. Remember, you could argue he won the greatest upset in Super Bowl history at the time. His team was, I think, an 18-point underdog when they beat the Colts in Super Bowl III, and he predicted it. That was a massive upset. How big of an upset was Eli Manning and the Giants over the Patriots? Not once, but twice. That's a big deal. So I do wonder about that a little bit, and I wonder how people feel about it. Our phone number on the Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text us Sports Radio to 21,000. Always look forward to your feedback, and always look forward to your thoughts on the topic. Freddie sends us a text. Who cares about what Myles Garrett has to say? He told us who he was after asking for a trade, stayed and took the money, which is absolutely his choice. Well, I don't disagree with that. I'm not going to hold that against him, though. You're going to hold it against him for staying in Cleveland? Let me ask you this. Did you hold it against Miguel Cabrera for staying in Detroit, for taking the money? Or hold it against Justin Verlander for doing something similar? Would you hold it against a guy like, I don't know, Tarek Skubal if he decided to stay? It's not the same thing, because Garrett asked for a trade and then stayed, took the money. So he lost a little credibility. I agree with you there, Freddie. But when you're throwing the most money of any non-quarterback player in history, it's hard to say no to. And I would like to think, just based on interviews I've seen, I've never interviewed Myles Garrett, based on interviews I've seen, I'd like to think he's a pretty stand-up dude who wants to make a difference to Cleveland. So maybe some bad examples there compared to what you had, but the money, I don't know how you can sit there and blame everybody for taking more money. Because when you have a shorter career like these guys do, especially in the National Football League, you got to get paid when you can. So I don't have a problem with it. And it doesn't sound like you do either. It sounds like you have more of a problem that he originally asked for the trade and then decided to stay because it was more about the money. It wasn't about the town. It wasn't about the team. It was about the almighty dollar. So if that's the case, I totally understand where you're coming from. He says, then in Cleveland, you have a guy like Jose Ramirez, what happiness and money means to him. He is used as the example by you and me, by the way. But he's the exception to the rule. And you could be different. How many people, when Cleveland come to town, even though they're Tigers fans, watch Jose Ramirez step to the plate or take his position at third base for Cleveland and say, I like that guy. Why, Dad? He took less money. Money wasn't the most important thing to him. I think he builds up credibility for sure. I liked him before then. He's underpaid without question based on the standards of baseball. I just don't know how much it really means to people. I don't know how many times people watch a baseball game and think that. When he hits a game-winning home run against the Tigers, I don't think you sit there and go, well, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy because he took less money. We'll hold it against the people who make more money and take the big contract, but we won't give the kudos to the people who make less money. I mean, we're asking, I'll use the Scooble example again. There's so many people in this market who are just saying, if he really likes it here, why not give us the hometown discount, all this other stuff? I always try to put myself in that person's position. What would you do? Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Last night introductions. You have LeBron, who left Cleveland because he wanted to team with everybody in the best, and Cleveland was too small of a market for him. Last night's introductions that were just phony, just run out when they announced the name. I didn't watch it. I couldn't stomach it. I saw Cleveland jump out to a 7-0 lead. I knew what that broadcast was going to be about. I knew what the game was going to be about because it's about him all the time, and I couldn't take it. So I said, no thanks.
He did not play well. He was terrible.
He ended up scoring 11 points, and he was a minus 30.
3 of 10 from the floor, too.
30.
Yeah, he was not good.
The worst performance, perhaps, of his career. So I wasn't giggling until this morning. But yeah, the introductions, like who goes back? So I was trying to think about this just for a moment when you sent that text. When a player goes back for the first time, I get it. Totally understand it. He is the greatest player that franchise has ever had. It's not Brad Daugherty. It's not Mark Price. Sorry. It's LeBron James. You could probably make the case probably Dwayne Wade. I was going to say, make the case that he was the greatest player in Miami. He sure as hell isn't in Lakers. But the point is, he goes back there. He deserves a standing ovation the first time he went back there as somebody other than a Cleveland Cavalier. I don't disagree with that. How many times has he been back since he left Cleveland? Okay.
Quite a few.
Yeah. So I didn't understand, though. I think it's about more than that. I think it's about if he's going to play another year, would he go back to Cleveland?
Yeah, they're trying to entice him to maybe come back.
Yeah.
Wrap their arms around him one more time, maybe? Because that's the only time LA is going to play in Cleveland this year,
Yeah,
So
right. Finger down
that's
the
their
throat.
shot.
Give me a break. Ugh. All right. To me, it's just enough is enough. And then one more. The same Lion fans that travel to games who say every draft pick Brad makes is the best pick and a steal. Like this year, the ones who say Petzing and Kafka is Brad cooking in the new best OC hires of all time. I don't know. I'm not going to blame just because Lions fans show up so well on the road doesn't mean they agree with everything the organization has done. I think widely, This isn't just, you can still go to Ford Field and love the Lions and disagree with the draft picks of your general manager. I would argue most people in that building do argue with that. Blind faith, you have to be careful. Not everybody who goes to games, tailgates at Eastern Market, and then goes inside Ford Field, buys the jerseys, buys the hats, agrees with everything. Trent Bally and his brother go to every home game. Their dad goes to every home game. They drive from Grand Rapids to Detroit, even on Thanksgiving. Go to the Thanksgiving Day parade, drive all the way back across the state, even after a loss. They don't agree with all the draft picks, but they're going to cheer on the players who are on the field. But they don't agree with all the draft picks that Brad Holmes has made. They sure as hell don't like the draft picks from last year. I don't mean this year with Tate Ratledge and company. I mean last year with Enos Rakestraw and guys like Karen Arnold. They have not. Well,
that was 2 years ago. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. So those guys, not everybody agrees with that. I am not going to lump people into one big basket that because they either go on the road and cheer on the Lions or buy season tickets to Ford Field, that they agree with everything the front office does.
And when you mentioned blind faith, I think, for as much blind faith as Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell may have had 2 years ago, I think it's completely gone. It's zero. There's no more blind faith. This fan base is hurt by what happened this season.
I agree.
There's no more blind faith in these guys. It's okay to hold their feet to the fire and expect more from a draft class, Well,
at some point, I said this to a couple of people yesterday afternoon. At some point, just because you ridicule or talk negatively about a player or an organization because of mistakes they've made doesn't mean you don't like them. It's how you talk about them more than anything else. All right. That's the most important thing. They're not going to sit there and say, you know what, damn it, Trent Bally doesn't like me, screw him. No. I mean, if you're putting things out on social media that are untrue and unflattering and unprofessional, that's a different story. But if you and I have a conversation and we say the Lions draft picks of 2024, that draft class in general, did not fare well, how are people in the front office going to take that? They understand the criticism. It comes with the job. But you don't sit there and put Brad Holmes made up an AI in a bikini on Instagram, for crying out loud. That crosses a line. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text us, Sports Radio 21000. When we come back, would you consider a deal for this guy? This name's getting a lot of traction in trade rumors. We'll have it for you when we come back on X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
This week is filled with intensity. Two of the best teams in college basketball clash for the first time this year, Friday night in East Lansing. It's Michigan State week, and we want to send you to the game at the Breslin Center. The huge show will broadcast live from Soaring Eagle Thursday from 3 until 6 in the afternoon. The winner will be drawn and take a friend to the game with Bill Simonson. Metro Cars and Metro Cab of Grand Rapids will allow you to ride and arrive in style. They will pick you up and drop you off Friday afternoon. Lansing Brewing Company will host a happy hour pregame from 3 until 5 at their brewery in the Stadium District. they'll have a pair of additional tickets to give away. And Shep will host a watch party Friday night at Ascend inside Soaring Eagle with former Spartan Mitch Lyons. Listen to X's and Bros in the morning and the Huge Show in the afternoon. And text the word Soaring Eagle to 21,000 to register. The word is Soaring Eagle to 21,000. And good luck.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, Together, we can make a difference.
I played this game a little bit yesterday with a friend of mine. I said, hey, give me the best quarterbacks never to win a Super Bowl. And one of those quarterbacks, for me, I gave him 9. So Dan Marino is obvious, Donovan McNabb, I think is pretty obvious. Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, I'm trying to give guys, Fran Tarkenton, my era. One of the names I put up there was Dan Fouts. Dan Fouts is in the Hall of Fame. Do you know what Dan Fouts' record is? Dan Fouts, when he left, I mean, this guy threw for that was Air Coryell. Yesterday, we were talking about coaches who are in the Hall of Fame. Don Coryell's in the Hall of Fame, even though he has fewer wins than some of the names we mentioned yesterday. Dan Fouts, in 4 straight years, led the league in passing yards and touchdowns. Well, 2 straight years he led the league in touchdowns. Hell, in 1982, it was a strike-shortened season, but he led the league in touchdowns with 17, all right? Dan Fouts was one of the best passers the game's really ever had. 254 career touchdowns, far fewer than Eli Manning. And I'm not trying to make the case for Eli Manning to be in the Hall of Fame. I just think it's important that we keep a few things in mind here, because we talk about his 2 Super Bowls. Well, people would argue he threw for 550 yards and 3 touchdowns and a pick in the Super Bowl. How great was that? Well, it was good enough to get him 2 MVPs. All right. His last 8 years, they made the playoffs once. Do you know how many times Joe Namath made the playoffs?
I know it's not many.
One.
One. The one time they made the playoffs, they went to the Super Bowl and won it.
Yeah, it's a different situation.
Yeah, but still.
Okay, yeah. And look, I would argue, and no one's trying to argue that this dude was the best of his generation. Not every player in the Hall of Fame was the best of his generation. So I think that's a very weak argument. There are 23 Hall of Fame quarterbacks who played either 12 or 14 game schedules. How many times are you measuring today's players, today's quarterbacks against those dudes and thinking about that?
Yeah, it doesn't really get brought up much.
Never gets.
And maybe
brought
it's
up.
out of respect. I don't know, but the point is, it doesn't get brought up much, and it shouldn't. I don't think it should. Different game. What are you going to do? You can't blame
it's a
either.
Different game, but
when
you start talking about he's 11th in yards and 11th in touchdown passes, which Eli Manning ranks, it's hard to put that up against guys who have thrown and try to compare him to Hall of Famers like Fran Tarkenton, who threw for a hell of a lot more yards and a hell of a lot more touchdowns in a much shorter schedule.
And that's why would it maybe be more fair, Shep, to instead of talking about just accumulating stats, to talk about longevity, the blanket statement of just longevity. He played for a while, whether it was 12 game schedule or a 17 game schedule, he played for a long time. And
well,
let's give him credit for longevity.
I think a lot of it too comes down to moments. So remember, Eli Manning started 210 consecutive games. At one point in his career, he started 210 in a row. That should mean something. I'm not saying it's the deciding factor. I'm saying it should mean something. In big game moments, it should mean something. Not because Tom Coughlin said he's the best big game quarterback I've ever coached. That's from Tom Coughlin. And granted, Tom Coughlin was with Eli Manning when he won 2 championships with the Giants. But remember this, the Patriots team he beat the first time, they were undefeated. They were ready to pop champagne, not just for a championship, but also because they did something that only the 72 Dolphins ever did, and they did it better because they played more games. Okay? So they were 18-0. All Manning did was lead a 12-play, 83-yard drive to beat them. And then a few years later, what did he do? 4 years later specifically, he led a 9-play, 88-yard drive. There's the catch from Mario Manningham. The other drive was the catch from David Tyree. He led a 9-play, 88-yard drive to beat the same franchise. There's something to be said for that. If you're not going to look at stats, and I respect you if that's how you look at everything, as long as that's what your disagreements or your stating a case is based on, are you looking at Drew Brees' stats? Because Drew Brees won 1 fewer Super Bowl, and he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. But here's the difference. I mean, 5 times All-Pro, 13-time Pro Bowler. He never won an MVP, which is surprising. Eli Manning didn't either, right? Again, this is the hard thing about these debates is because all you're suggesting is one guy is good enough to get in there, but it's the same place that BrO's, who's one of the best quarterbacks of his generation, is going to. How can they possibly go together when one was statistically so much better than the other?
There are double standards all over the board.
Yes, there are standards
with these Hall of Fame debates. Double standards everywhere.
Here's the other thing that people forget. He didn't just beat Tom Brady in those Super Bowls. He also beat Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers en route to those Super Bowls.
Yeah, good point.
Now, as I've said before, the quarterback's not playing the other quarterback. So this year, when we started talking about playoffs and we were going, well, Josh Allen should get to the Super Bowl. Why? There's no Patrick Mahomes. There's no Joe Burrow. There's no Lamar Jackson. And what did I say? Nobody is playing defenses, since that's who the quarterback plays against. He is playing defenses that are that good.
Like Denver. They took him out. They put up 30-some points, but yeah, they ended up taking him out.
Okay.
Key turnovers.
All those things that need to be taken into context. Quarterbacks don't play against one another, but they do have to match or at least attempt to match what the other quarterback is doing with his offense. It's the defense that you've got to look at more than anything else. All right, let's get to a text line. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. What do we got on this Tullymore Thursday morning?
Sticking with this conversation, it says Eli Manning should be inducted into the Hall of Very Good, not in the Hall of Fame. He only had 2 standout seasons. The rest of them is just because of his last name, Manning.
Oh, I don't think it's because of his last name. No. I mean, it helps to have, that last name. I don't think there's any question about that. I think that's a disservice to him. Okay. He only had 2 standout games. He went 11-5 his second year of his career.
They said standout seasons, so I think they're giving him credit for that one.
Oh,
but they said 2 standout seasons. Yeah.
I got you. 2. Okay. Well, if they're giving him credit for that one at 11-5, would the other one be 10-6, or would it be 12-4, or another 10-6, or another 11-5?
They're probably referring to the 2 Super Bowl runs. They're
probably referring to the 2 Super Bowls. Yeah, I would think so too. So does that mean that?
Oh, weren't they 8-8 one of those years? I mean, if we're going to use that logic, yeah, I think they were 8-8 for the second one, maybe.
Oh, was it 8? Or was it 9-7?
It could have been 9-7. The point is, those teams were not outstanding in the regular season. They had really good postseason runs, and Eli Manning was a big reason for that. So I guess if you want to take that line of thinking, he deserves a lot of credit. And that's the case for him to be in the Hall of Fame.
I think a better case for him might be 3 times he led the league in interceptions. So kind of some mistakes there. So I understand that. I would say I do think there is a difference. I think the texture's right in this sense. The Hall of Very Good. He wouldn't be the first player inducted into Canton who's in the Hall of Very Good. There's plenty of guys in Cooperstown that most people would consider in the Hall of Very Good. Hi, Harold Baines. And it's happened in every sport. It has gotten leaky with those who are being inducted. So I'm not going to totally disagree with the texter. I'm not making a case for Eli Manning, okay? All I'm saying is I think when you start talking about the Hall of Very Good, I'm telling you there are plenty of guys right now who many people would think, do they really deserve to be in there? I mean, I've said that about Joe Namath. Some people say it about Kenny Stabler. Some said it based on numbers now about our friend Charlie Sanders. And I don't agree with that because I love Charlie Sanders, but how much of that is me letting my emotions get in the way? I don't know. Quick timeout. This hour is brought to you by Meyer. Bottom of the hour, Sadi Washington, assistant coach for Michigan State, joins us. Stay with us.
Shop Meyer and bring more good to game day with Buy 5, Save 5 deals on Watch Party fan favorites. Mix and match and save $5 when you buy 5 or more go-to party items, like select varieties of DiGiorno frozen pizzas and Late July tortilla chips. 24 packs of select Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable, and Brawny paper towels. The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meijer. Now that's the good life. A good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Step into luxury this January with a $275,000 Escalade giveaway at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Every Friday and Saturday from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., 2 lucky guests will win $250 in premium play and 250 bonus entries every hour. And don't miss the grand finale on January 30th and 31st at 11 p.m. One lucky winner each night will drive away in a 2026 Cadillac Escalade. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Farrah's Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Thanks for listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. You want to talk to Shep? Call us at 866-838-4843.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Okay, just a quick thing, a couple of quick things to finish up with this conversation. And Saudi Washington is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about Michigan State. They clash Friday night at the Breslin Center. Two outstanding teams, number 3 against number 7. Both teams playing good, solid basketball, and Saudi Washington's a good man. He's a really good coach. He'll be a head coach someday, I hope, because I think he deserves it. So we'll talk with him at 35 after the hour. When people say in the Hall of Very Good, I agree with you in every sport. The problem you have, and the reason people can debate for players like Eli Manning, is Floyd Little, who was, I still have his football card. In a shoebox in my basement, I still have his football card for the Denver Broncos. He played 9 years, okay? He gained 1,000 yards or more once in his 9-year career. One time he led the league in rushing. He has 43 career touchdowns on the ground. 43. I want you to think about that for a moment. 43 touchdowns in his career. That's it. Now, they played 14 games back then, I believe. But still, so you have to keep that, take that into consideration, all right? But 43 touchdowns is not a lot of touchdowns, okay? You look at Saquon Barkley, he's played 1 year less than Floyd Little, and he's got what? How many touchdowns does he have? Let me look this up real quick. He's got 55 already. To put that in context, he's in the same building, Canton, as our Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders led the league in rushing 4 times in 10 years. He played 1 more year than Floyd Little. He gained 1,000 yards or more every single year. Led the league 4 times in rushing and has 99 touchdowns on the ground. They're in the same building. They're both viewed as Hall of Famers. So when people say it's the Hall of Very Good, I want you to just remember that there are a lot of players, a lot of members in that Hall of Very Good who are there now. I always bring up Joe Namath, okay? Some people may bring up Lynn Swann. His numbers are not fantastic, but it sure as hell helps to play 4 Super Bowls. Bob Greasy helps to be the quarterback of the only undefeated team in the history of the sport, does it not? That's all I'm saying. You got to be, we talked about Terrell Davis, I think, yesterday. How good was Terrell Davis? For a 4-year span, he was the best there was. Is that enough to get you in the Hall of Fame? The texter said Eli Manning had only 2 good years. I'm sure Eli Manning would argue with that, but his last 8 years, the leaving impression, when you only make 1 playoff appearance, isn't great. And then I bring up the Joe Namath, and then people will tell me, and somebody said this to me yesterday, it was an iconic moment. Okay. Eli Manning had 2 iconic moments. That's the debate we probably have back and forth. It's fun to look at both sides of that proverbial coin, is what I'm saying. All right. So we can move on with that, but I do like people's opinion. I always appreciate it. The phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. Did not necessarily mean to dwell on it as much as we just did there, but I think it's pretty good conversation. All right. There's more speculation out there that Giannis Antetokounmpo has played his last game as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. We all know how talented he is, right? He's one of the best players in the world. I don't think there's any question about that. And we also know that the Pistons will probably be active at the trade deadline. It may not be for a big name, but it may be for a complimentary piece. Last year, how important was Dennis Schroeder? It was a pretty big piece. Very good player for Detroit. This is before he wanted to punch Luka Doncic. So he was a good player, all right? What's the best deal, or would you even want Giannis Antetokounmpo in a Detroit Pistons uniform. I mean, we're talking about a 2-time MVP, a 9-time All-Star. We're talking about a Finals MVP. We're talking about a guy who is one of the best his franchise has ever had and one of the best players of this generation. He gets away with walks, yes. He's 31, not a big deal, right? And is under contract for at least one more year. 26-27 is when it's out, all right? He's got a player option following that. He's going to make $58.5 million, okay? So he would make, he'd make over $12 million more than Cade Cunningham. I don't know why that should matter, but sometimes people feel that should be at least, taken into consideration. Cade Cunningham, if we like him as much as we do, and we do, we love him, he cares about winning. Winning is first and foremost. So the question would be, would this guy fit? I trust Trajan Langdon. I know that's a tough word, especially when we've been talking football. I trust Trajan Langdon to bring in guys he feel fits his culture. He did it a year ago with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, and even brought in Dennis Schroeder. He's not bringing in dudes to disrupt anything. He's bringing in guys who aren't just really good basketball players, but also fit the mold of what Detroit is about right now. Full stop. He did it this year in the offseason. It's part of the reason, and a big part of the reason, on why this team is so good now. Fair enough? Okay. I think most sane people would want Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you think about this, when you want someone, when you're going to gain something, that person has to fit your identity. He's a former defensive player of the year. He's one of the best defenders in recent memory. So he fits in that regard. He can shoot from the outside. He can deck it and drive it. He can feed the ball. He does everything you could possibly want. I don't like the way he's handled his recent situation with his team. I don't like him coming out saying things about his team that they're not playing hard. This is what he said exactly. We're not playing hard. We aren't doing the right thing. We're not playing to win. We're not playing together. Our chemistry not there. Guys are being selfish, trying to look for their own shots instead of looking for the shot that's best for the team. Guys are trying to do it on their own. Don't like going public with that stuff. Coach goes public, that's one thing. A player, that should be kept in-house. My opinion. What would you have to do to get him? Therein lies the issue. The Free Press yesterday. Who wrote this? Let me see here. Christian Romo, no relation to Tony, said this. The Pistons would get Giannis Antetokounmpo and Gary Harris, former Spartan. The Bucks would get Tobias Harris. Told you yesterday, don't necessarily like that. Tim Hardaway didn't like that either when he joined us. If you missed any of that, check out our podcast. You can find where you can get your podcast, X's and Bros. Really good interview with Tim Hardaway Sr. He didn't like that. Karis LeVert, that's fine. I mean, I don't care that he played at Michigan. I don't care that he's a good guy. I like him. He's replaceable. He's not healthy, hasn't been healthy. It's a problem, and it's a growing trend for him. Jaden Ivey, who's been a disappointment. If you had to give up those three guys, that's one thing. And a draft pick or two, okay. The Free Press says it's Harris, LeVert, Ivey, 4 first-round picks, and 3 first-round pick swaps. Now, usually I don't care about draft picks. 4 first-rounders matters to me. That's a lot to give up for 2 dudes and one guy who may not make your team. And that one guy who does make your team is a free agent after one season. Way too deep. Way too thick. No way would I do that deal. When we come back, really good deal with Sadie Washington. He's been a hell of a coach for a long time. He's got a unique perspective, Michigan and Michigan State. He's going to join us on X's and Bros when we come back. Brought to you this hour by Meyer.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community. just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The Huge Show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
This week is filled with intensity. Two of the best teams in college basketball clash for the first time this year, Friday night in East Lansing. It's Michigan State Week, and we want to send you to the game at the Breslin Center. The Huge Show will broadcast live from Soaring Eagle Thursday from 3 until 6 in the afternoon. The winner will be drawn and take a friend to the game with Bill Simonson. Metro Cars and Metro Cab of Grand Rapids will allow you to ride and arrive in style. They will pick you up and drop you off Friday afternoon. Lansing Brewing Company will host a happy hour pregame from 3 until 5 at their brewery in the Stadium District. They'll have a pair of additional tickets to give away. And Shep will host a watch party Friday night at Ascend inside Soaring Eagle with former Spartan Mitch Lyons. Listen to X's and Bros in the morning and the Huge Show in the afternoon. And text the word Soaring Eagle to 21,000 to register. The word is Soaring Eagle to 21,000. And good luck.
Okay, working toward getting Sadie Washington on the show. Almost 2 decades, 2 decades of coaching experience. And he's learned from some of the best. He learned from Greg Campy at Oakland. He learned from John Beeline at Michigan. And he's learning from Tom Izzo now. And you talk about a resume builder. That's pretty impressive. You've got those 3 coaches, guys you've called friends, guys you've called mentors. How another school doesn't take a run at him to be their head coach is beyond me. I don't understand how that could possibly be, but maybe the right possibility hasn't come along for him yet. When coaches have families, that's something that they have to take into consideration. All right. So you want to see your kids grow up a little bit so you can understand why Sadie Washington maybe would turn some opportunities down. I just know this. If I'm an athletic director and I want a good coach, I'm knocking on his door. I'm making a phone call to him. There's no question about that. Oh, he's with us now. Okay. Sadie Washington joins us here on X's and Bros. How are you, my friend? How's your family?
I'm doing well, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Congratulations on all the success. It doesn't come as a surprise at all. I want to ask you about what you like most about what your team did the other night against Rutgers. It's easy to sit there and look ahead to a rivalry game. It's also easy to say, you know what, we've gotten to within 5 and then they push it back to 7 or 9 and the shoulders start to shrug a little bit and the heads droop. Your team doesn't do that. What impressed you most about the roadkill in overtime at Rutgers?
Yeah, that was a big time character revealing game for us in a whole lot of different ways because, when you break it down, Shep, like a common person would say, we didn't have any business, winning that game. And, anybody who's played in this league knows that road games are tough. And then you go into environments like the RAC, regardless of, how their team is performing from any given year. That's a tough playing environment. But what it showed is our team had the composure, to withstand the run. We held each other accountable to it. And then the competitive nature kicked in and we were able to make enough plays, right, in regulation and then on into overtime to come out on top. So, we'll take the what will be received as the pretty wins and the ugly wins as long as it's a win.
You know what it's like. Look, you were a really good player at Western Michigan. You played overseas. You've been around some really good guards. Jeremy Fears seems to be getting better as the season moves on, not just because of points, but vision, decisions, and things of that nature. How much do you appreciate what he brings to the table night in and night out for your Spartan club?
Man, every great team that I've been a part of has started with a great point guard, right? Yeah. Like he's the extension of Coach Izzo. And, the kid worked his tail off this summer to elevate different parts of his game. And, he had a full year of just being healthy and recovering. So, you see some of his explosiveness come back. He's always been a great facilitator with the ball. And now, his shooting from the perimeter has improved. And so he is the heartbeat of our team. And, for him to have the kind of season that he's having right now, is a big testament to the hard work that he's put in the off season.
What's the most underrated part of your team? I think when people look at Michigan State, they understand the defensive intensity and the rebounding aspect, all very impressive. But there's an underrated part of what your team is doing too. What is that? Yeah,
I think our strength is our numbers. That was kind of really the thing that propelled us last season. We have the depth, positional depth at every position to kind of morph into what we need to be on any given game. But I really believe, Shep, the secret sauce is our connectivity. In a landscape where college athletics is ever changing and ever evolving, you still have to go to war with the right guys in your locker room. And I can say without a doubt that we have a group of individuals in our locker room and in our hallways that project the right things. And I think that is really the most underrated thing about our program and our team as a whole.
Yeah, I love that answer. Saudi Washington, outstanding assistant coach, Michigan State, as they get ready for Michigan's invasion of the Breslin Center on Friday night. We want to send you there with 2 tickets. All you got to do is text, in order to register, text Soaring Eagle to 21,000, and you will register, and we'll draw that winner later on today at Soaring Eagle. The other guy I want to ask you a little bit about is, and I don't look at college players as if they're going to be NBA players. It's okay to be a really good college basketball player. You were that. You were a really good college basketball. Jackson Kohler, I don't know what his future lies, but here's what I do know. In watching him progress year after year at Michigan State, he has gotten better in just about every single aspect. Where am I wrong?
You're not wrong at all. I mean, that kid, is the single most hardest working guy in our program. And, he may not have the sexy name, but when you watch him play, we're not where we're at without his development, without his contributions on both sides of the ball. The young man he comes and brings it every single day. He makes himself better. He makes his teammate better with the way he approaches his job. And, for someone who has been really hands-on with him from a positional, coaching him from a positional standpoint, he's made my life a whole lot easier. He made, Coach Izzo's life a whole lot easier. And, Jax has been phenomenal in his role. And, we stand on his shoulders as well as a guy who's going to help carry us to where we want to go.
Yeah, first ever player from the state of Utah to play at Michigan State. Another guy you work closely with is Cohen Carr. Everybody gets caught up in his dunks, and I love him too. Don't get me wrong. But he has improved his outside game too. What have you worked on most with him to try and help him kind of get that NBA level feel from the outside in his jumper?
Yeah, well, I don't work with him as much as maybe I used to in the past. Like he more works with our perimeter coaches. But I would tell you this: at the end of last season, he understood where the areas where he needs to grow, specifically in his perimeter shooting. And when I tell you, it wasn't a week that we had came home from the Elite Eight, that kid spent the rest of his time in the gym, really refining his technique, gaining confidence. I mean, coming out of the spring and summer and into the fall, he was shooting the ball with a high confidence. So it's been really awesome to see him kind of get back into that headspace. And, it's been documented. Coach Izzo's talked about him like, we're going to hang in there with that dude because he's given us so much. And, that's really what it's about, the development, the process of it all. And when you can see a kid, the things that he's been working on come to fruition, like that's coaching. And that's the enjoyment that we have as being able to be a part of his process of getting better.
How do you describe the feel of a rivalry game compared to a regular season game?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. Like, I don't know. Everybody approaches it different. I always say, like you approach every game the same, but there are some games that are different. And, Michigan State has had a storied tradition. And I think I recently saw somewhere where this is the first time in, maybe over 20 years where both teams combined rankings, like this is like the highest combined ranking. So it's great for both programs. It's great for the state. It's great for the community. It's great for TV. And, we're all into the meat and potatoes of our schedule now. And so I expect both teams to play their best, and hopefully we will play at least 1 point better than our opponent. But it's going to be a knockdown, drag out type of fest, and we're gonna continue to prep today and be ready for a great matchup tomorrow.
I know you will be. I've asked this of football coaches in the past. So, but I'm interested to get your take too, because you play them twice, and you play them twice in a short period of time. Do you ever get concerned about your players being too energized, too overhyped? And if so, how do you handle that?
No, I don't. I mean, it's part of the game. Like it's part of the game that you really kind of accept. And the early part of the game, yes, it's going to be high octane for both teams, and then eventually it kind of levels out, and then both teams start competing, and you kind of got to manage the emotion of it all a little bit, but you also want the raw emotion of it to really help your team focus and lock in on all the little details that are going to matter from one possession to the next. And, you asked about the feeling of it all. It's like we both had two really hard games the other night where it took everything we both had to squeak out a win. And now, to be able to point that energy toward one another, it's like, let's get to it. Right. And again, I think that both teams will be prepared. Both teams are playing at the top of our game. And we'll see, where it all falls tomorrow evening.
I love the dislike by both programs, but I also greatly appreciate how much both programs respect one another. So far, with Michigan being ranked third in the country, what do you respect most about what they've done this year?
I respect the consistency that they've had this year. Like they had a stretch early in the non-conference that was no, I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing the type of wins and the point differential that they had for, a 7-8 game stretch. And so, you take your hat off to them in the way that they've been able to do it. And, but I'm confident in, what we've been doing all season. And I'm excited, to test ourselves against another powerhouse team in our conference.
Yeah, well, you guys have proven yourself time in and time out, thanks to your help for sure. Last thing before I let you go, and I appreciate the time, what will be most important tomorrow night?
I think consistency and being our best version of ourselves. If we can be our best version of ourselves, then we put ourselves in a position to win the game. And that's all that you can ask for.
Your girl's all right?
My daughter's doing great. My son is doing great. The wifey is doing great. And the Washingtons are well, man. Thanks for asking.
Well, your wife is the champion of the house because of how many hours you put in. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
So we never lose sight of that. She's been outstanding for as long as I've known you. You're such a good man. I appreciate the time. You should be a head coach somewhere, but Michigan State's lucky to have you. Thanks for the time today, Sadi.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, you bet. That's Sadi Washington, outstanding assistant coach from Michigan State University. Looking forward to the showdown tomorrow night. Man, it's going to be awesome. It is. I hope people understand and appreciate this good fortune we have. Not that we've never seen it before. We have, okay? Michigan State, what is it, 27 years in the NCAA tournament, consecutive seasons? Michigan with a little bump there in between Beeline and May. The Juwan Howard years, you want to toss those out? Overall, been pretty good over the last 15 years or so. I'm not comparing it to Duke, North Carolina, but I do think it's a hell of a rivalry. I do. Where does it rank for Michigan State and Michigan fans? Where does it rank in the sports? Now, I've said this for a long time. I think the hockey rivalry between Michigan and Michigan State is pretty damn high. I do. They play each other a couple times a year. and they get after it, and it's physical. And in that sport, you can be, right? In a 0-0 game. And you're more apt to see an upset, I think, in that sport because of a guy who might be in net. Ryan Miller of the past, although those teams were great. Jeff Lurg in the past, although those teams were great, right? Than you would in some of the other sports. Football, I'm not sure exactly where it ranks because of that Michigan-Ohio State thing, right? Basketball, there is no doubt, and hockey, there is no doubt who the rival truly is. That's why I truly respect it. Michigan State could talk about a team like Purdue. Michigan at times could talk about a team like Wisconsin. But deep down inside, the two schools, it's against one another. And it hasn't always been this way. It took a while for it to get this way. But those two schools against one another, that is a deep-rooted disdain for one another in basketball. It's awesome. And the atmosphere tomorrow, if you're not going, you should be jealous. If you are going, you should feel like you're privileged because it's going to be a spectacular event at the Breslin Center in front of that Izzone. Phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. You could text us Sports Radio 21000. A timeout here as we head toward the third and final hour of X's and Bros on a Tullymore Thursday, brought to you by Meyer.
At Soaring Eagle, make it a hot Valentine's night. 5-time Grammy nominee El DeBarge and Keith Washington put love in the air. Tickets as low as $50 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com. This Valentine's night, make it hot. El DeBarge and Keith Washington at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Football season's not over yet. You know that, right? There's still one massive game to go. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, recognizes that more than anybody else. They know you are into it. They know your passion. They want you to make every moment feel bigger. And with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay in that moment. You can live that moment bigger. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half of the Super Bowl, you're going to get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire first half of the Super Bowl. Why would you bet player props anywhere else? New customers, here's your perfect chance in the big game. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE. That code is HUGE, H-U-G-E, and turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire within 7 days. For additional terms and conditions, go to dkng.com/audio for a limited time offer.
Huge here with a message to all of you Lions fans. My good friend Josh Garvey, who runs Doran Mayhew's Grand Rapids office, will join me every Thursday with former Lion Lomas Brown, and we'll go inside the Lions each and every week all the way through the Super Bowl. Doran Mayhew is proud to partner with the Huge Show, and we're proud to have a guy like Josh Garvey join us in studio every week. If you have a Lions question or comment, you can drop them at Huge Show on Twitter, The Huge Show on Facebook. Doran Mayhew, proud to be a part of the West Michigan community and across the entire state with their corporate worldwide headquarters in Troy, Michigan. So make plans every Thursday, 5 p.m., It's Josh Garvey, who is a managing shareholder at Doran Mayhew's GR office, with Lomas Brown on the Huge Show going inside the Lions every Thursday at 5 p.m.
Shop Meyer and bring more good to game day with Buy 5, Save 5 deals on Watch Party fan favorites. Mix and match and save $5 when you buy 5 or more go-to party items, like select varieties of DiGiorno frozen pizzas and Late July tortilla chips. 24 packs of select Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable, and Brawny paper towels. The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meyer. Now that's the good life, a good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Farrah's Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
You are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network, but you don't need to be in Michigan to tune us in. Search XB Mornings on X or X's and Bros on YouTube.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
Good stuff from Sadi Washington. I want to thank him again. We should also thank our friends at Michigan State for helping us coordinate that. Always appreciative of that, for sure. The Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. Pistons are kind of a quiet night in sports, at least for us locally, right? Pistons are back at it tonight. They are in Phoenix. Phoenix beat them earlier this month, January 15th, beat them by 3. But Detroit's won 9 of their last 11. We've got, as we mentioned with Sadi Washington, tomorrow night, Michigan State and Michigan at the Breslin Center. So fired up. U of M's 21, State's 19-2. Both teams are 9-1 in conference play. One is ranked 3rd, U of M. One is ranked 7th, Spartans. It is the highest combined ranking these two teams have ever had when meeting one another. All right, but the Spartans have dominated as of late. They won both meetings last year. 11 by 17 and 13 points. And they have won 7 of the last 10. Cannot wait for it. We want you to go. And if you can't go, we would invite you to come to the watch party. So there's a few things here that we're working on here that we've got set up for you, the Michigan Sports Network. Later this afternoon, Bill Simonson is going to, on the huge show at Soaring Eagle, is going to select the winner of our contest to send 2 people to the game at the Breslin Center. He's going to be at Soaring Eagle. He's going to draw the name. You're going to take a friend. Metro Cars is going to pick you up, take you to the game, and then take you back. So you'll do that today. You still have time to register for the 2 tickets. All you have to do is text Soaring Eagle to 21,000. But you got to do it today, okay? Because Billy's going to draw it a little bit later on. He's going to go to the game with the winners tomorrow night at the Breslin Center. Meanwhile, Lansing Brewing Company has 2 tickets as well. They want to give those away. They're going to do that tomorrow. Bill's going to broadcast live from Lansing Brewing Company, which, by the way, they have $10 cases of beer. Yeah, that should be enough to get you to go there in the first place. Not to see Bill, not to get the 2 tickets. The $10 cases of beer at Lansing Brewing Company. And they've got good stuff, man. Their peanut butter porter is really good. Anyway, so they've got that going on. And they want to give away 2 tickets. So head out to Lansing Brewing Company. They're on Shiawassee, 518 Shiawassee Street, and join Billy for that live broadcast tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be awesome. Let's say you don't go. Let's say you go to Lansing Brewing Company. You don't win the tickets. You don't win the tickets tonight, but you still want to have some fun. Join us at Soaring Eagle. I'm going to be there with my friend Mitch Lyons Wealth, and Jimmy King. And we're going to have a watch party at Soaring Eagle Casino's Ascend. We're going to watch the game. We're going to drink some beers. We're going to have some really good food. I'm going to get the burger. And we're going to talk with you and take some pictures. All right? So I want you to be there if you can. If you can't go to the game, there's no better place to watch it than Soaring Eagle. You, me, Mitch Lyons, and Jimmy King.
It's such a blast. You can go win some money at halftime, too. Take a little 15-minute walk.
Are you and your brother coming?
I will be there. I'm not sure about my brother. I'm working on him.
What's wrong with your brother?
I don't know. I'm trying to convince him.
Too good for us now? He's been there before. What, is he too good for us now?
Well, he's also a Chippewa, so I'm trying to get. It's a no-brainer to me.
What else is he going to do? What is your brother going to do on a Friday night?
Absolutely nothing. I hope he's listening. Yeah.
He's married, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. She wants him out of the house anyway.
Yeah. Have a boys' night. Come on.
Yeah, she's a wonderful girl. We've met her before, but don't kid yourself. She could use a break from him every once in a while, too.
Right.
So if he's not there with you, he's getting ridiculed Monday morning. I just want you to know that. Wings are going to play tonight. They're looking for a bounce-back effort. They're hosting Washington. Detroit a point back at Tampa in the division. Washington sits tied for 4th in the Metro. Not Metro Cars, but in the Metropolitan Division. Meanwhile, Detroit has also extended Ben Sherratt, 3-year contract extension. The 34-year-old is going to make $11.5 million. It's going to keep him here through 2029. Cleveland Browns have hired Todd Monken. He was the Ravens offensive coordinator. He's their new head coach. There's video out there that the owner of the Browns did not want Nathan Scheelhaus, the passing game coordinator for the Rams. That's what the general manager and other members of the front office of the Browns wanted. Instead, what is it, Jimmy Haslam went out and said, I want Todd Monken. Now, I've seen a lot of pushback on this, and I get it, because the Browns don't do much right. They don't. at some point, guys deserve an opportunity to be a head coach. I don't care that he won 2 championships at Georgia as an offensive coordinator. He goes to Baltimore. Lamar Jackson has some good years. That's probably more on Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and Mark Andrews than it would be on Todd Monken. But he's in charge of it, right? If they're not going to do well, and you're going to blame him, and they did. People blamed him this year because he didn't use Derrick Henry the right way. Then how come you're not willing to give him credit for when they do well during a game, a season? I saw an ESPN analyst come out and say, if I'm Shedeur Sanders, I'm not listening to Todd Monken. What have you ever proven?
Oh, my God. Shedeur, you can take any help you can get, buddy.
Well, if I'm Todd Monken, I'm going into this. Is Shedeur Sanders my automatic starter?
Yeah, you got to earn your spot, right?
Well, not if you're a Pro Bowler. Oh, that's right. Anyway, it's such a wrong message. It's such clickbait. And yes, I fell for it. I'm talking about it right now. It's so stupid. It's just an asinine take. I love how some of these athletes come out and say they want to give no credence whatsoever to a new coach going to a bad team. There's not many good teams that fired their coach. Buffalo did, right? But most of the teams looking for a new head coach stink or did stink this past season or has had some bad seasons. Cleveland, 8 wins in the last 2 years. That's it. Cleveland, the last 2 years, their offense has been horrible, dead last in points per game. You want to take shots, that's fine. It's not like I was thrilled with the hire. If I was Cleveland, it wouldn't move my needle much. Who are you going to get for that situation? Really shouldn't be the attitude. Who else are we going to get? Well, you should vet and get the right person. I'm talking about just automatically assuming that this guy can't do the job when he's been, I would argue, pretty damn successful as an OC. And if you're looking for someone with experience, be careful there. Because in Baltimore, John Harbaugh had never been a head coach. Okay? Sean McDermott, who just got fired, but had 9 pretty damn good years in Buffalo, had never been a head coach. You got to be careful there. And if there's a guy who is a head coach at a different level and then comes into the NFL, you're going to say, but he doesn't have NFL experience. And if you give a guy who was an NFL head coach but failed, you're going to say it's a retread. What's the perfect scenario? I suppose it's in the eyes of the beholder.
It's really hard to please everybody, isn't it?
Oh, it's impossible. I know that. But these are the reasons I'd love to have a debate with somebody like that. Tell me what you want. Instead of just saying this guy stinks, it's a bad hire. Give me the guy you want and why. That's the most important.
That was always my biggest comeback with the Stafford days in Detroit. Because I was in high school in that time, and people would rip on Stafford, and they didn't think he's the guy. I'm like, okay, well, who realistically do you want to go get? Who you think would be the answer? Just tell me a name, and they never could.
It's the same thing with the Lions offensive coordinator. Shep, you didn't want Drew Petzing. Who did you want? I wanted Zach Robinson. Why? And I told you why. I like the way he used, for example, in Atlanta. I like the way he used Bijan Robinson. I think he could do the same thing with Jahmyr Gibbs. He's used to having 2 dynamic wide receivers. He needed an offensive line. He needed a good quarterback. He would have it here. That's among the reasons that I gave. It's really important. That's an important part of any conversation or any debate. All right, here's the Mitch Lyons-Well poll question. Who's been MSU's best player? Jeremy Fears, Jackson Kohler, Cohen Carr, or other? Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings. We give you the results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. I will retweet it as well. Speaking of coaches, I'm wondering if an ex-Lions coach is a bad guy. Bear with me when we come back on that. We're brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. or go to MitchLionsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
It's time to go on the court.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. This is Ed Kingerski. Third-ranked Michigan played the first of two top 10 matchups this week, Tuesday night at Chrysler Center. After handing number 5 Nebraska its first loss of the season, the Wolverines now set their sights on number 7 MSU, a Friday night primetime affair from the Breslin Center. The combined ranking of the two is the highest in the history of the rivalry. Michigan has dropped 4 straight in the series, all by double digits. Grad student Will Cheddar is the only Wolverine who's defeated the Spartans. Namari Burnett, the only starter who's even played in the rivalry. A win by Michigan would be its first in East Lansing since 2018.
Shop Meijer and bring more good to game day with buy 5, save 5 deals on watch party fan favorites. Mix and match and save $5 when you buy 5 or more go-to party items, like select varieties of DiGiorno frozen pizzas and Late July tortilla chips. 24 packs of select Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable, and Brawny paper towels. The buy 5, save 5 deals at Meijer. Now that's the good life, a good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
There have been a lot of bad teams that we can recall in recent memory in the National Football League. I don't know if there's been any worse team that you can think of than this past season's New York Jets. Under first-year head coach Aaron Glenn, they were 3-14. They had the number 29 ranked offense in yards per game at 263.5. They were number 29 in points at 17.5. They were number 25 in total defense. They were number 31 in scoring defense. And as everybody knows who follows football, they didn't have one interception.
No picks.
No picks.
Can you imagine that, by the way, just if we pause for a second as a fan? You watch 17 games of your team, and they never take the ball away through the air. Not once.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I mean, oh my God. I didn't watch many Jets games. I don't know who the hell did, but I don't even know if they were close. I don't know how many times they were maybe close to an interception, or maybe they did pick it off. It was called back because of a penalty.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Close. Yeah,
but to have none.
But for a guy who is a cornerback in the National Football League and a successful one, and a guy who supposedly built part of his reputation as a defensive coordinator as how much better Detroit's secondary got later on in his Lions coaching career, I'm surprised that
you would have
couldn't
expected
come
better
up with one. But it's a bad look for Aaron Glenn, and he should have been on the hot seat this year and probably was toward the end, and definitely should be on the hot seat going into next year. Why? Well, we'll get to that here in a minute. But remember, before last year, I know people here in the state of Michigan, for the most part, do not like Aaron Rodgers. That's fine. It's not like I'm a huge fan of his. Certain things I don't mind about him, quite honestly. Didn't like the fact that, he broke Lions' hearts on a regular basis. But let me tell you something, man. There are certain ways that you treat people. And for what he's accomplished in his career, he deserves respect. It's told me something about the Jets, and it told me something about Aaron Glenn. When they asked Aaron Rodgers to fly cross-country, sit down in a conference room, ask him if he wants to be here, he responds yes, and they tell him they're going in a different direction. That's Bush League. That is unacceptable. That lacks professionalism. And that, for me, was the first red flag for Aaron Glenn, who, like I said, I wished him well. Everybody talked about Ben Johnson, and for good reason. What a D-bag he is. What he said about Jared Goff and all this other stuff. And nobody, at least in Michigan or in Detroit, said much about Aaron Glenn's handling of Aaron Rodgers. Why? Because I don't like Aaron Rodgers. Because he played for the Packers. Because he broke my heart. I'm willing to let my emotions get in the way. Would you want to be treated that way? Hell no. But everybody giggled when Aaron Glenn did it.
It's like when we talked about Hall of Fame resumes yesterday. If you did a blind reveal, you might feel differently about a certain player than if you have your emotions involved. If
he did that with any other player.
Or an anonymous player.
Who you have respect for, or who didn't hurt your feelings at one point, then you would say, that's crap. You don't do it that way. Well, Aaron Glenn put together, and everybody in Detroit was freaking out because he took Tanner Engstrand. Oh my gosh, this is a guy, Tanner Engstrand is going to be the next offensive coordinator. He's going to be the next big name. That's what everybody said. How are we going to go on? We're going to struggle, not because we lost our coordinators, but because we lost other coaches on the staff. This is what Aaron Glenn said when he put together his 23-man staff. Listen to this.
Listen, I think the most enjoyable thing was getting the coaching staff, because there's so many coaches out there that everybody wants you to get, and there are all these names. But I'm a huge believer in getting the guys that's right for the job, and right for the job for us. So listen, if the guys don't have all the big names that everybody wants, they are a hell of a coach. You can find them anywhere. Division II, guys, high school, assistants of other teams. And that's what I did. And it took a while to do that. And I want to take a while because I want to make sure I get the right guys. And I said this before, compatibility is just as important as coachability, because you want guys that can actually coach together. Whatever my weak spots are, man, somebody can help me with those weak spots. And that's vice versa along the coaching staff.
So that's great work right there, getting that type of soundbite from when Aaron Glenn talked about it earlier this year. Trent Bally was able to find that in a short period of time. Well, we know Glenn's first season didn't go very well at all. And we know they became the first team in league history to never have an interception in a single season.
That quote did not age well.
We also know that Aaron Glenn has fired 9 of his coaches now. 9. Okay. He's fired offensive coordinator Tanner Engstrand, defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes, defensive backs coach Dre Bly, quarterbacks coach Charles London, defensive line coach Eric Washington, passing game coordinator Scott Turner, linebackers coach Aaron Curry. Those are the guys he's fired. And it's amazing because I mentioned the Aaron Rodgers situation and how he handled that. There are now reports that former Michigan defensive coordinator Wink Martindale went there and interviewed for the DC job. And sources say, and they're coming from Martindale with all due respect, you got to believe that, he went into that practice facility, wowed them in an interview, and was asked back. He's asked back assuming that it's going to be a contract. It's going to be a formality. And what does he get? He gets that Aaron Glenn wants to call the defense. He's the guy who's going to call the defense, and Martindale's just going to be there in a different role. Remember this. He then brought on former Miami assistant Brian Duker as the new defensive coordinator, but has no play calling experience. Okay. He's 36, and it's going to be Glenn who's going to assume that responsibility. Now, in fairness to Aaron Glenn, it's a big shift in responsibility from 2025. He did not do that this past year, according to reports. Instead, that defensive play caller was his defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes. So maybe that's what he felt all along. I don't know why you'd bring in Wink Martindale when here's a guy who was successful in that role with the Giants, obviously at Michigan. But it just shows you again, if this is who he is, what he did with Rodgers, how he preached to all the media that it's going to be different, and how he's going to handle things, and you watch how the results come to fruition, and he handles his coaching staff this way, scapegoating them. It's one of two things. Either you're a bad decision maker on coaches to hire and fire that many guys within a year, or you are a guy who has no idea what he wants.
And what message does that
to
send?
His coaches on what he was expecting of them, or wasn't involved enough in that game planning.
What message does that send to guys who are open for jobs or looking for work? You know what I mean? Do you want to join Aaron Glenn's staff?
Well, I thought about that, but here's the thing you got to remember. If you're a coach, let's say you're a position coach, whatever, and you don't have a job, that's better than not having a job at all.
For sure.
If you're a coach looking for the chance to get your first crack as a coordinator, at least say you're a coordinator. All right. Brian Duker can now say, moving forward, no matter what, he can say, I've been a defensive coordinator at the National Football League level. And you're going to take jobs like that. How is it different than a lot of other jobs? If a job came to you, if somebody came to you with a job, and it's one of your dream jobs, at least at the position, maybe not at the station or maybe not in the market or whatever, they came to you with a dream job and it paid far less than you ever expected. Would you take it? Most people would. In order to get into play-by-play, for example, to do TV play-by-play for the Oakland A's, now the Las Vegas A's or the Sacramento A's or whatever the hell they're called, you're going to take a hell of a lot less than others. Would you take it? Yes, they do. And then they cut their chops and maybe either move on or maybe they get a raise as they move forward.
Right, because it's the position, most importantly.
It's the position that's most important. Yeah. It's a good comment and it's a good thought, but I wonder how people now look at Aaron Glenn. I wonder. Would this disappoint you if another team said in this market, we're good? We'll get to that. Plus, the Lions are still viewed very favorably by odds makers. That's coming up here on X's and Bros. Here, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Soar to new heights of winning with Eagle Casino and Sports. Enjoy your favorite games wherever you are, whether at home or on the go. Dive into exciting slots, spin the roulette wheel, or challenge yourself with virtual table games, all at your fingertips. Sign up now and opt in to receive a deposit match up to $1,500 for the casino, plus up to 100 free spins. Download the Eagle Casino and Sports app today and experience winning with just a tap. Go you! Must be located in Michigan and 21 years or older. Other conditions apply. Visit playeagle.com to join the action. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Football season's not over yet. You know that, right? There's still one massive game to go. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, recognizes that more than anybody else. They know you are into it. They know your passion. They want you to make every moment feel bigger. And with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay in that moment. You can live that moment bigger. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half of the Super Bowl, you're going to get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire first half of the Super Bowl. Why would you bet player props anywhere else? New customers, here's your perfect chance in the big game. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE. That code is HUGE, H-U-G-E, and turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire within 7 days. For additional terms and conditions, go to dkng.com/audio for a limited time offer. Closing in on the Super Bowl, so make sure DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, can help make you feel like every moment is that much bigger. I know that's hard to believe sometimes because the Super Bowl is the ultimate. Well, DraftKings Sportsbook is the ultimate as well. And with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in the moment, that Super Bowl moment. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. You're wondering, what is that? Well, if the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down in the first point, at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. See, DraftKings has got you covered through the entire half. So there's no reason to make a prop player bet anywhere else. New customers, here's your chance. Bet just $5. And if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the code HUGE. That code is HUGE, HUGE, to turn $5 into 300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Must be 21 years or older, Michigan only. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. For additional terms, go to dkng.com/audio. This is for a limited time offer. I know the season for the Lions was disappointing. The early odds to win the Super Bowl next year, according to certain odds, the Lions are tied for the 5th favorite to win the Super Bowl. They are listed at 14-1. That's tied with the Packers, tied with the Chiefs, and tied with the Patriots, who, by the way, are playing Seattle. Okay? The favorites next year, this is funny to a certain extent. Who do you think is the favorite next year?
The Chiefs.
No, I just gave you the Chiefs. They're tied with Detroit.
Oh, sorry, I didn't have my headphones on. I apologize.
That's okay. That's all right. No, that's all right.
The favorites?
It's Buffalo.
Oh, when will people learn?
I don't know. But Buffalo's the odds on favorite. The second with best odds are the LA Rams. The third best odds are the Seahawks. And I do wonder this. The Bears, by the way, are 20-1. The Lions are 14-1. The Bears are 20-1. Minnesota's 50-1. I do wonder this. What if Matthew Stafford doesn't come back? Those odds completely change, right?
Oh, I think that would be hilarious to watch. I mean, they'd go from, what are they right now, second?
They are the second favorite at 10-1.
They would go from second to at least 20th. Because we don't know who their quarterback would be.
Yeah,
now you'd still like
It's
Puka,
not-
you'd still like some of their weapons, but you wouldn't know who the quarterback is. So how could you have many higher than?
I guess it could be Jimmy Garoppolo. He's their backup. I don't know his contract situation. It could be Jimmy Garoppolo. They would draft one. They're probably going to draft one anyway. I look at a lot of mock drafts. I know it's stupid, but I do it. I can't help it. And I see a lot of them with picking Ty Simpson in the first round. They have a couple of first round picks. So they get a corner and they get Ty Simpson, and they think that would be the heir apparent to Matthew Stafford. But I thought you might find that interesting that they are the 5th best results. So good for them from certain odds makers. So good for them. There is a reality check, by the way, with the Lions. There's a big reality check. I don't know if people realize this, but it was very well done by Nolan Bianchi in the Detroit News, in case you haven't seen it. When you've got salary cap implications coming for this team. We've talked about it, but we haven't really been able to put many numbers to it. When you and your buddies get together, you think, well, Brad Holmes, you talk about his draft picks and so on and so forth. And then you have to start thinking about the guys who are up for contract extensions. We know that Kirby Joseph has been given one, and Jared Goff and David Montgomery had been given one, and Penei Sewell. We get all that. Aiden Hutchinson, we get that. Then you have to look at the guys who, after their 5th year, are going to be extended. So the 2023 class becomes eligible for contract extensions this offseason. You don't have to worry about Broderick Martin. You don't have to worry about Hendon Hooker, okay? But there are some key guys who you do have to worry about and how much it's going to cost your team. When people talk about, and I hate it, you know that, but when people talk about windows, this is what they're referring to. They're referring to the guys who you have to make do with while they're under those rookie contract numbers before you get to the big payday, if they're successful. Jahmyr Gibbs. You think he's a good running back? Absolutely. His cap hit this year is $5.7 million. Would you pay him $20.5 million? These are the things we have to think about. Saquon Barkley makes $20.5 million. Do you think he's as good as Saquon Barkley? Something to contemplate, okay? In 2027, he's going to make $14 million. This might be the example of why you don't extend him. Okay? So that's the fifth-year option. Next year will be his fourth year. Then you'll definitely pick up the fifth-year option. Are you going to extend him and pay him what the top running back is? Be careful, okay? I get the 5 yards per carry is enticing. I get the 18 total touchdowns. I get the third Pro Bowl. Be careful, all right? Jack Campbell. He's become the leader of your defense. Arguably the best defensive player on that side of the ball. He's going to make $4.7 million. Again, that's the cap hit for 2026 because that's his fourth year, all right? First round pick. The fifth-year option is $23 million. The top paid player at the linebacker position is Fred Warner. He makes $21 million a year. Are you picking up the fifth-year option of Jack Campbell? You've got Sam Laporta. You know what this team looked like without him. It's a huge part of what this team is all about. His cap hit in 2026 is going to be $6.5 million. Are you going to extend him? Because the top tight end is George Kittle, and he makes $19 million. Suddenly you've got 23, 28, 19, and we're not done. There's one more guy from that successful draft class, and it's Brian Branch. Branch's cap hit in 2026 is going to be $6.5 million. Would you extend him on a fifth-year option, or would you sign him up for a longer extension prior to that? The top safety on the market is Kyle Hamilton. He makes $25 million. Those are the things that as a general manager, while we rip on Brad Holmes, and justifiably so for his, it's not fair to say for this year's draft, but last year's draft, 2024, and the lack of productivity, and we salute him for the 2023 draft class, understand that he also has to think about what he's going to do with certain players from that draft class in order to keep the band together. Now, you can complain all you want about extending Kirby Joseph, and I get it because he made him the highest paid safety at the time. But at the time, I think a lot of people also thought it was a very shrewd move. I think you could have gotten Jared Goff for cheaper than $53 million, more like 50. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but every penny counts. You're going to have to restructure deals now. It's the reason that there's a part of them that might be, maybe Taylor Decker is retiring. Save some money, get a rookie left tackle. David Montgomery, time to move on. Okay. Alex Anzalone, time to move on. Okay. Fill those voids with cheaper options, but productive options, and then consider what you have to do with these guys. It may come to a point, if you think Brian Branch is worth it, and I'm not saying he's worth $25 million, but he's worth more than $6.5 million, where eventually Kirby Joseph gets cut because of the injury situation. By the way, factoring all of this in is one thing. And then trying to figure out, who's going to be my center? Everybody wants Tyler Linderbaum. How much is he going to cost you? 14, 15, 16 million dollars? Somewhere along those lines? These are the financial aspects that too oftentimes we overlook. This is a reality check. When people use the phrase, you can't sign them all, you can't keep them all, this is what they're referring to. That's a lot of coin. for those players. And I'm not saying they're not worth it, but could they all be worth it on the same team? That's a tough one. It really is. We know that the Lions didn't do much. They didn't do anything at the trade deadline. We know that last year we were all disappointed in the Tigers' lack of movement at the trade deadline for bigger names or better players. I don't care about the names. I don't care about the big names. I care about the production of those names that's associated with it. And I think you do too. So if that were the case, I think it is fair to say that you and I were more than disappointed with what took place with the Tigers. What if the Pistons did the same thing? What if they said, I know this is a phrase that's going to be used in Detroit for a long time, we're good. Somebody should make a t-shirt of that. We're good, and go forward with it. There's a marketing idea for you. Go ahead. Remember what JB Bickerstaff said recently when he was asked about it. Okay. Here's his quote. With Trajan and that front office crew, no one outworks them when it comes to putting together a plan and executing the plan. I trust his abilities. He evaluates, and we have a ton of conversations. But to be honest, it's hard to say we're not happy with what we already have. There is no reason for us to feel otherwise because of what guys have done together. That is a nice way, I think, of saying that we're good. In fact, later on, he says there's still room to grow, but that's for everybody. I truly believe we're in a really good spot. When the Tigers were in a good spot and didn't make a move, people were pissed. When the Lions, we thought were in a really good spot at least a year ago, and they didn't make a move, we were really pissed. When we thought they were in a decent spot this year, wasn't a great spot, wasn't as good as the year before, but it was a decent spot. You know, they had a chance to make the playoffs. We thought they should have done something. And when I say we, I'm using you and I together. I think that's a collective belief. And they didn't do anything. We were pissed. Will you be pissed if the Pistons don't do something? Just because they're the favorites in the American League. They're the favorites in the Eastern Conference. Tigers were the favorite in the American League.
I know, and that's where I think, Shep, I think that's where maybe people are jaded and don't want to buy into the Pistons as much as they have or as much as they should because they bought into the Tigers too early before the All-Star break. And then, you know, like you're alluding to here, the Tigers didn't make a move at the deadline. So do you want the Pistons to then make a move? I mean, I know you can't always draw the cross sports comparisons, but fans in the city have very recent example of the ugly side and the good side of what this could be, you know?
But fans draw the cross sport comparison because of their feelings, and I don't blame them.
They don't want to get hurt twice in the same way, you know?
Well, and really more than twice. I mean, Tigers 2 years ago, okay? Last year and 2 years ago. I think, to your point, that the cross sport situation, that's why a lot of people are hesitant or have been hesitant. Maybe they are on board now because it's over 50 games. I'm buying into the Red Wings.
Yeah.
The last two Marches, Shep, they were absolutely terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? So I think that's part of it. But we would all agree that, and it's clear as day, that the Pistons are the best team in the Eastern Conference. I told you yesterday, New York, there was rumblings that New York might try and get Drew Holiday. That's the belief. There is also another belief that some believe that Giannis Antetokounmpo could be going to New York. That New York will give away Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, and draft picks for Giannis Antetokounmpo. That makes New York a lot better, right? I like OG Anunoby.
If he's healthy, of course it does, yeah.
If he's healthy. It's a good point, yeah. Because he has been hurt quite a bit.
Yes.
And I don't think enough is made of that. I say Anthony Davis, you go, whoa, he's hurt.
You say Giannis, no one bats an eye.
No, nobody bats an eye. You're right. Including yours truly, by the way. I think he's one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it just hasn't latched on to his reputation. You know, it hasn't latched on to the way he's viewed around the league. People don't view him as injury prone, but he's been hurt quite a bit.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do because he's a 9-time All-NBA player, okay? He's a 5-time All-Defensive player. I get all that, all right? I'm just telling you from a reputation standpoint, he's out right now. He's played 30 games. Last year he played 67. Year before 73, 63, 67, 61, 63. Okay. That's not a heavy load. Early in his career, yes. When he was 20, 21, 22, 23, he was playing a lot of games. Lately, not so much. And I think sometimes the worst thing is when you see a player who is out for, I don't know, 4 or 5 games and then comes back for a few and then is out for 4 or 5 games. It's one thing if you miss a long extended period of time, but then when you're missing spurts of 5 and 6 games, it disallows your team to get in any type of rhythm. I think I don't understand why Piston fans wouldn't be upset if their team didn't make a move, considering their feelings for the other teams in the market. Let's get to the final results of the poll question, shall we? Yesterday, here's what we asked you. We said, most impressive comeback Tuesday night. The hard thing is we asked you to try and keep the emotions separate. Was the 11-point win or the 11-point comeback victory for Michigan more impressive than the 12-point comeback victory on the road for Michigan State? How did they vote?
Pretty much a 3-quarter, 1-quarter split. 74% said Michigan was more impressive. 26% said MSU on the road.
I don't know if that's because we have more Michigan fans listening or because they truly felt that way. Nebraska was ranked in the top 20, top 10.
I think it's the opponent. Yeah, the
opponent, and Nebraska was undefeated.
I think it's the opponent. I think, Michigan State coming back in the way they did and Ugachukwu hitting the big 3 in the corner in the final right. 15 seconds.
Good for you.
It's not easy to do. That was impressive, but I think a lot of people look at it like they shouldn't have been in that situation. That was a lackluster performance anyways. Yeah, Tom Izzo pretty much said as much. So
yeah, I know. He said they got a little luck. Okay. The easy thing to do is say, they shouldn't have been in that spot in the first place. Well,
they were, and they won.
Those guys are on scholarship, number one. And number two, it's a long grind, man. It's a hard season. You expect your team to win every game. You're going to end up being very disappointed. Here's today's Mitch Lanswell poll question. Who's been MSU's best player? Is it Jeremy Fears, Jackson Kohler, Cohen Carr, or other? Vote as often as you want at XB Mornings, and we'll give you the results same time tomorrow. The Daily Wager. I don't think it fared very well for you last night.
Chef got the last laugh on this one because I took LeBron James over 35 points, rebounds, and assists. He was awful. He was awful last night.
It was a minus 30, though. I'm proud of him.
I mean, it might have been the worst game he's ever played in that building, if you think about it. Because as a Cavalier, I don't know if he ever had a game.
Might have been the worst game he's ever played, period.
It was a tough watch. And, you wouldn't know if you went on social media and just looked at the pregame pageantry and everything.
Oh, my God.
See, I can admit this, Chef. I know how annoying it can
to put
be.
a ring on his finger, like, will you marry me from the national media is sickening. What do you have tonight?
Tonight, I'm going to go with a little parlay between the Wings and Pistons. I'll take them both to win. It's close to double your money. So, I mean, you win twice what you put down. They're both favored. And you should be able to watch both, by the way, because the Wings play at 7:30 and the Pistons out in the desert. They don't start till 9. So Wings and Pistons both to win.
All right, Pistons at Phoenix, Wings home tonight as well to Washington. Our thanks to Saudi Washington. Our thanks to you as well for giving us some of your time on a Tullymore Thursday. We're back with you tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock.